Hare Krishna, and to all the devotees online, thank you very much for your kind presence as we continue after a few weeks of festivity breaks. Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto chapter 4, verses 33 to 36, and then we also can start a new chapter, chapter 5, verses 1 to 9. So the chapter 4 is Vidura approaches Maitreya, and chapter 5, Vidura's talk with Maitreya. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Uttaparakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatham Istam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Vada Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priya Vanchakalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Vevacha Patitanam Pavinebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesa Sunyavadi Pastatya Satarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasati Gauravakta Vrinda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare सर्वशास्त्र पीयूष सर्ववेदिक सत्फल सर्व सिद्धांत रत्नाद्य सर्वलोकाय त्रिप्रदा सर्वभागवत प्राण श्रीमद् भागवत प्रभु कलिगंधो दिदादित्य Shri Krishna Parivartita, O Srimad Bhagavatam, O nectar churn from the ocean of all Vedic scriptures, O most prominent transcendent food of all the Vedas, O you enriched with jewels of all spiritual philosophical conclusions, O you grant spiritual vision to all the people of the world, O light breath of the Vaishnava devotees, O Lord, you are the sun which has arisen to dispel the darkness of Kali Yuga. You actual Krishna who has returned amongst us. Paramananda Pathaya Prema Varshasha Rayate Sarvada Sarva Sevyaya Shri Krishnaya Namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, offer respectful obeisance unto you. By reading you one attains transcendental bliss. For your soul was rained pure love upon reader. You always be served by everyone. For you incarnation of Lord Krishna. Madekabando Mat Singh Mad Ekabando Mat Sangim Mad Goro Mad Mahanana Man Nishtarak Mad Bhagya Mad Ananda Namastute. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O my only friend, O my companion, my teacher, my great wealth, O my deliverer, my good fortune, O my bliss, I offer respectful obeisance unto you. Asadu Sadu Tadain Atini Chochataraka Hanamun Chakadachin Mam Premnarat Katiospura. O Srimad Bhagavatam, O give us saintliness around saintly. O uplifter the very fallen. Please do not ever leave me. Please become manifest Mahatma truth, accompanying pure love of Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Janmadhyasya Yatonvayaytaratas Chartas Swarat Tene Brahma Hidayadi Kavaye Muyanti Yatsuraya Tejo Vari Mridam Yatha Vinimayo Yat Prati Sargom Marsha Damna Swena Sada Nirastakokam Satyam Param Dhimahi. O my Lord Shri Krishna, Son of Vasudeva, O pervading personality of Godhead, I offer my respectful obeisance unto you. I meditate upon Lord Shri Krishna because the absolute truth and the primary cause of all causes of creation, sustenance, and destruction of manifested universes. He is directly and indirectly conscious of all manifestations and is independent because there is no other cause beyond him. It is he only who first imparted the Vedic knowledge unto the heart of Brahmaji, the original living being. By him, even the great sages and demigods are placed into illusion, as one is bewildered by illusory representation of water seen in fire or land seen on water. Only because of him do the material universes, temporarily manifest by the reactions of the three modes of nature, appear factual, although they are unreal. I therefore meditate upon him, Lord Shri Krishna, who is eternally existent in the transcendental abode, which is forever free from illusory representation of the material world. I meditate upon him, for he is the absolute truth. Pranaupaisha sabya kalavasmin yuge jana manda sumanda matayo manda bhagyo padrata. O learned one, in this iron age of Kali, many but short lives are quarrelsome, lazy, misguided, unlucky, and above all, always disturbed. Narayan namaskritya narachevam naratam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jaya mudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is the very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisance to the personality of God in Narayan. unto Nirunara and Risha, the supermost human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Savaipum Saparodharmo Yato Bhaktira Adokshaje Ahoitukia Pratiyata Yatma Suprasiddhiti, the supreme occupation dharma of all humanity is that by which men can attain to loving devotional service unto the transcendent Lord. Such devotional service must be unmotivated and uninterrupted to completely satisfy the self. Vasudeva Bhagavati Bhakti Yoga Prayojita Janayat Yusavairagyam Jnanam Cha Yadaitukam. By rendering devotional service unto the personality of God as Sri Krishna, one immediately acquires causes knowledge and detachment from the world. Vedanti tattvavidas tattvam yach gnanam advayam brahmeti paramatmeti bhagavaniti sabhyate. Learned transcendentalists who know the absolute true cause, non-dual substance Brahman, Paramatma Bhagavan. Shrushrushota Dhanasya Vasudeva Kataruchi Syan Mahatsevaya Vipra Punyartirtha Nishevanat. O twice born sages, by serving those devotees completely free from all vice, great service is done. By such service, one gains affinity for hearing the messages of Vasudeva. Shranvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Ryadanta Stoya Bhadrani Vidunoti Suritsatam. Shri Krishna, the personality of Godhead, who is Paramatma, Supersoul in everyone's heart, and the benefactor of the truthful devotee, cleanses desire from material enjoyment. From the heart of the devotee was developed the urge to hear his messages, which are in themselves virtues when properly heard and chanted. Nasta prayashu bhadreshu nityam bhagavata sevaya bhagavatutam slokir bhaktir bhavati naishtaki. By regular attendance in the classes of Bhagavatam and by rendering of service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart is almost completely destroyed, and loving service unto the person of Godhead, who is praised with transcendental songs, is established as an irrevocable fact. Etavan Samkhya Yoga Vyam Swadharmam Parinishthaya Janma Labha Parapam Samante Narayana Smriti. The highest perfection of human life achieved either by complete knowledge of matter and spirit, by practice of mystic powers, or by perfect discharge of operational duty, is to remember the personality of God at the end of life. Akama Sarva Kama Vamoksha Kama Udari Ditivrena Bhakti Yogena Yajate Purusham Param. A person who has broad intelligence, whether he be full of all material desires, without any material desires, or desiring liberation, must by all means worship the supreme whole, the personality of Godhead. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are continuing Srimad Bhagavatam based on the teachings of His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Hare Krishna and welcome back after a few weeks of festive holidays, or you could say the holidays, festivities in Kartik that we call holy days. And because of the holy days, we cannot have the Bhagavatam sessions because of the festivals. So we are now continuing our series. Let us commence. So we're going to be covering the last section of the fourth chapter, Vidura's enlightenment by Uddhava and further journey, and then Vidura's questions to Maitreya Rishi up to verse 9. Text 33, 433. Viduryapyo davachathrutava Krishnasya paramatmana kridayotpata dehasya karma nislaghitani cha. Vidura also heard from Uddhava about the appearance and disappearance of Lord Krishna, the Supersoul, in the mortal world, which is a subject matter sought after with great perseverance by the great sages. Purport. The subject matter of the appearance and disappearance of the Supersoul, Lord Shri Krishna, is a mystery even for the great sages. The word Paramatmana is significant in this verse. An ordinary living being is generally called the Atma, but Lord Krishna is never an ordinary living being because he is Paramatma, the Supersoul. Prabhupada starts off emphasizing and establishing the fact that we're not God. Yes, we are qualitatively the same as God. We are eternal, God is eternal. We spiritual, God is spiritual. So in essence, in terms of the energy, in terms of the spiritual nature, we are the same, but there's a vast difference in terms of quantity. Krishna is the greatest, Krishna is Vibhu, Krishna is Paramatma. We are tiny, Anu and Atma. The Mayavadis, the followers of Sankaracharya, they proclaim that you are God. And that is completely against scripture. Yes, Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. I am energy. I'm spiritual energy. I'm the same nature of Brahman. But I am not the totality. I'm not the complete whole. We are part and parcel of God, just like the ray of the sun. It has the same energy and substance of the sun. But the ray cannot say, I'm the sun. At the same time, when the rays of the sun come into the room, you say the sun has entered. But we understand that that's only a feature, a facet, few rays of the sun that has entered. If the whole sun had to enter your room, you would be burnt. So there's a vast difference between Krishna, Supreme Personality of Godhead, and the living entity. Prabhupada continues, yet his appearance as one of the human beings and his disappearance again from the mortal world are subject matters for the research workers who execute research work with great perseverance. Such subject matters are certainly of increasing interest because the researchers have to search out the transcendental abode of the Lord, which he enters after finishing his pastimes in the mortal world. Krishna's pastimes in this world are mysterious specifically because Krishna is appearing in this world in his original form as two-armed Krishna. But at the same time, he appears in this world and takes on the laws, the universal laws of someone in this world. Therefore, you'll find many of Krishna's pastimes where Krishna acts like an ordinary human being. He may even perform activities which apparently seem like ordinary. And because he is the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he also has superordinary activities. So, in the chat, share one activity, one pastime of Krishna that closely resembles human activities, and one pastime of Krishna, one activity of Krishna that resembles superhuman activities, which means beyond human activities. And you could briefly, put it in bullet point. Don't need to give the full sentence if you want, just give it in bullet point. One pastime that is human-like, and another pastime that's super, beyond human-like, superhuman-like. And because of these two diametrically opposed pastimes, people get confused. Is he God? Is he the Supreme Lord? Or is he just an ordinary person? So Ray says, picking up Govardhan here, superhuman, clearly superhuman. No human being in the history of creation and in the future of history, in the future of this creation, will pick up Govardhan Hill or any hill with a tiny finger. It has never been done, would never be done. Any other activities? So Ray, you only mentioned one part. Where's the other part? Mother Les says, drinking milk from Mother Yashoda. Human life. Exactly. Krishna he's been breastfed. It's like, okay, he's God. Really? He's God? And when Krishna is drinking breast milk, and when Mother Yashoda puts him down, he gets upset. Killing Putna as a child, that's superhuman. So just see, contradictory, confusing. Is he God? Not, is he human? Is he God? What is he? Any others? Sharing butter ghee, stealing butter ghee, sharing with the monkeys. Yeah, you expect children to steal, right? You don't expect the Supreme Personality of Godhead to steal. So again, we see contradictions in Krishna's pastimes. Krishna appears extraordinary. It's not like he has to go through 9 months of his. It's not like he has to go through. His mother has to go through material 9 months of labor. And when Krishna appears, he just appeared out of Mother Devaki, form, fully bedecked with ornaments, weapons, as of Vishnu. That's not ordinary. But then he becomes a baby and he grows up like a baby. That's ordinary. And then he leaves this world like mortals live, on one hand. At the same time, scripture also gives details of how Krishna ascended to the spiritual world. So for researchers, this becomes very difficult. And because they don't have information of the spiritual world, in most cases, they get the wrong end of the stick. They get the wrong end of Krishna's personality. But even great sages have no information that beyond the spiritual sky beyond the material sky is the spiritual sky, where Sri Krishna eternally resides with his associates. Although at the same time, he exhibits his pastimes in the mortal world, in all the universes, one after another. This fact is confirmed in Brahma Samhita 537. Goloka evan nivatsa akilatma bhutana. The Lord, by his inconceivable potency, resides in his eternal abode Goloka, yet at the same time, as Supersoul, he is present everywhere in both the spiritual and material skies, by his multi-varieties of manifestations. Therefore, his appearance and disappearance are simultaneously going on, and no one can say definitely which of them is the beginning and which is the end. His eternal pastimes have no beginning or end, and one has to learn of them from the pure devotees only and not waste valuable time in so-called research. There are so many people that spend hours and hours and hours researching. Now, in Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada, Lord Krishna and Prabhupada expands in the purports, describes that there is the root cause of everything, and that is Krishna. There are those who try to research about the root through different ways and angles and perspectives. It's like Sankhya, trying to understand. And then hopefully come to the conclusion of the root. And then they have to serve the root. So that is the analytical perspective of study. Then you get those who are devotees. They learn about the root cause, Krishna, directly from the pure devotee like Srila Prabhupada in the scriptures. And we begin to serve Krishna. So there are those who research, and in most cases, they get trapped and get deviated, because the goal of Sankhya is to research, understand the goal, the root, and then serve. From the path of bhakti, we get knowledge coming in disciplic succession from the pure devotee. This is the supreme person of Godhead. You are part and parcel of the Supreme Lord. Serve him and you'll be perfect. And we serve, we save so much time, and we achieve perfection. So both are meant to achieve perfection, but one is a long process and the other is coming to the conclusion immediately. The researchers may get deviated, entangled, diverted, and spend a lot of time trying to understand, and then even after researching may not come to the proper conclusion. 34. Dehanyasham chatasyeva yevam dhiranam dera vardhanam anyesham tushkar rataram pashunam viklavatmana. The Lord's glorious acts and his acceptance of various transcendental forms for the performance of extraordinary pastimes in the mortal world are very difficult for anyone other than his devotees to understand. And for the beasts, they are simply a mental disturbance. Report. The transcendental forms and pastimes of the Lord, as described in Bhagavad Gita, are difficult subject matters for those who are not devotees to understand. For those who are not devotees to understand. The Lord never reveals himself to persons like the Gyanis and Yogis. And there are others who, because of their envying the Lord from the bottom of their hearts, are classified amongst the beasts. And for such envious beasts, the subject matter of the Lord's appearance and disappearance is simply a mental disturbance. As confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 7:15, that miscreants who are simply concerned with material enjoyment, who work very hard like beasts of burden, can hardly know this personality of Godhead at any stage due to a suric bhava, or a spirit of revolt against the Supreme Lord. The transcendental bodily expansions manifested by the Lord for his pastimes in the mortal world, and the appearance and disappearance of such transcendental expansions are difficult subject matters. And those who are not devotees are advised not to discuss the Lord's appearance and disappearance, lest they commit further offenses at the lotus feet of the Lord. The more they discuss the transcendental appearance and disappearance of the Lord in the Asuric spirit, the more they enter into the darkest region of hell, as stated in Bhagavad Gita 16:20. Anyone who's against the transcendental loving service of the Lord is more or less a beastly creature, as confirmed in this verse of Srimad Bhagavatam. Rafana says, I've seen water moving in a river stream. One cannot apply mindset of categorically putting water either in the beginning or middle or end, but it flows cooperatively. The purport of the matters of appearance and disappearance give me a similar sense in that they are just going on. Love this expression, yes. It's a continuous flow. And just like a water fountain, you see a water fountain has a flow of water and a shape, and you can't determine the beginning of that fountain. When did it start? So Krishna's appearance and disappearance are eternal. And only those who are non-envious, only those who have devotion to Krishna, only they can enter into the mysteries of Krishna's pastimes. Otherwise, people will basically be caught up in word jugglery, in their own concocted ideas. And you can see if you just have to go to YouTube and just have to, hear all these so-called speakers, those who present podcasts, authorities on the different subjects, they will present themselves as authorities on the subject matter because they've done some research, they've written some books, they've you know, read some, had some discussions, and now they present themselves as authorities on the subject. But if one is not a devotee of the Lord, if one is not a lover of the Lord, if one does not have connection to a disciplic succession, a bona fide disciplic succession, there is no way you can get the truth. For example, today I was listening to someone from the Advaita school, and very confident person speaking about the nature of the soul, and eventually, because he's following Sankaracharya and the teachings of Sankaracharya, his conclusion is you God, and the conclusion is the material world is false. This is all Maya. So, because they do not have the complete picture, they do not have the complete truth. Scripture tells us very, very clearly who Sankaracharya is, and that he specifically came to give a deviant philosophy. And there are people who are convinced of that philosophy, which is deviant, and they're taking that deviant philosophy as the ultimate truth. This is the most amazing part. And they're talking about the truth. To some degree, there's some elements of truth there, like, yes, you are spirit, you are Brahman. This material creation is called Maya. So yes, there's some elements of truth. But then you are trapped by a philosophy that is against the truth. And you claiming, I know the truth and I'm presenting the truth. This is how Maya traps the living entities. And as soon as you are trapped, no matter what else you learn, that foundation is going to tinge your understanding of further knowledge. It's like in the beginning, you perform a mathematical equation calculation that's wrong. Then after that, no matter how accurate you are, you could be 100% accurate in every calculation. The answer is just going to be increasingly incorrect. And therefore, Prabhupada warns, the Bhagavatam warns, that right at the beginning, we need to understand, we need to have the proper foundation of truth. And we also have to understand what is required to understand Krishna. It is not with intellect. It is not with knowledge. It is with devotion. And anyone without loving devotion, unfortunately, Bhagavatam and Prabhupada says, is more or less beastly creature. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. 35. Atmanam chakuru shreshta krishnena manas sekshitam dhyayan gate bhagavata roda prema vivala. Understanding that he was remembered by Lord Krishna while quitting this world, Vidura began to cry loudly, overwhelmed by the ecstasy of love. So this is the love that we're talking about. Those who are attached to Krishna, those who are in love with Krishna. As soon as Vidura remembered that, the Lord remembered him while leaving this world. It touched him. So this is the relationship, loving relation between Krishna and his devotees. Purport. Vidura was overwhelmed by ecstasy of love when he understood that Lord Krishna, the Supreme Personality of God, had thought of him at the last moment. There are unlimited devotees. And the Lord thought of Vidura. So this touched him. Although he thought of himself as insignificant, he was remembered by the Lord, by his causeless mercy. Vidura accepted this as a great favor, and thus he cried. This crying is the last word in the progressive path of devotional service. One who can cry for the Lord in love is certainly successful in the line of devotional service. This crying is the last word in the progressive path of devotional service. We have joined the school of bhakti, the school of devotional service. And it starts off with following rules and regulations. Don't do this, do this. Chant the holy names, engage in devotional service, try to remember the Supreme Lord, hear his glories, engage in devotional service. But as we get purified more and more on this path, and we progress more and more and more, what is the ultimate aim? What is the ultimate end? What is the purpose? And what is that last word? Because you could have many words: purification, understanding our identity, devotional service, pleasing the Lord, going back home. There's so many words we could have. What's the last word of devotional service on this path? Prabhupada says, crying. Crying for Krishna. Why crying? Because we have separated ourselves from Krishna. When we're chanting Hare Krishna, calling the Lord, and we're not crying, it's proof that we're far away. It's proof that our heart has not melted. Just like when you lose something that's very dear to you, or someone that's very dear to you, and something happens to someone very dear to you, you cry. When somebody leaves, people cry due to separation. So right now, when we engage in devotional service, when we're chanting, we're not crying because intellectually we have engaged ourselves in devotional service. Intellectually, we are chanting the holy names of Krishna. So our intellect is engaged, not our heart in its pure state. We're not chanting from the heart. We're not chanting with a purified heart. Or we're not chanting with a devotional heart. Not that there is no devotion, not that there is no purity, but it is not completely purified. It is not completely in love with Krishna. It's more of using our understanding and intellect that, yes, I'm part and parcel of Krishna. I'm a spirit soul. I'm eternally related to Krishna. I need to serve Krishna. I need to chant the holy name. So therefore, our intellect allows us to engage and chant the holy name. As we get purified more and more and more, now from the intellect, it goes deep into the heart, and we realize this is what I'm meant to be doing. I'm actually part and parcel of Krishna. When the heart becomes completely softened, when the heart becomes completely purified, and it falls completely in love with Krishna, and then you realize you are separated from the Supreme Personality of God, that you will cry when calling out to the Lord. So therefore, Prabhupada says this Hare Krishna movement is really meant for teaching people how to cry for Krishna. 36. Kalindya Kattibik Siddha Ahobir Ratar Shaba Pradap Prap Prapadya Swa Sharitam Yatra Mitra Suno Muni. After passing a few days on the bank of the river Yamuna, Vidura, a self-realized soul, reached the bank of the Ganges, where the great sage Maitreya was situated. So Uddhava encouraged Maitreya Muni to go, Uddhava encouraged Vidura to go and meet Maitreya Muni and inquire from him, because Maitreya Muni was also present when the Supreme Lord was leaving this world. Thus ends Bhaktivinoda, the purport of that canto, for chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam entitled Vidura Approaches Maitreya. Chapter 5, text 1. Shri Shuka Uvacha Dware Dunadya Rishabha Kurunam Maitreyam Asinam Agadabodam Shatropashrut Tyachuttabhava Siddha Prapacha Shaulya Gunabhir Tripta. Sukadeva Goswami said, Vidura, the best among the Kuru dynasty, was perfect in devotional service to the Lord, thus reached the source of the celestial Ganges river, Haridwar, where Maitreya, the great sage, fathomless learned sage of the world, was seated. Vidura, who was perfect in gentleness and satisfied in transcendence, inquired from him. Purport. Vidura was already perfect due to his unalloyed devotion to the infallible Lord. The Lord and the living entity are all qualitatively the same by nature, but the Lord is quantitatively much greater than any individual living entity. He is ever infallible, whereas the living entities are prone to fall under the illusory energy. Vidura had already surpassed the infallible nature of the living entity in conditional life due to his being Achyutabhava, or legitimately absorbed in devotional service of the Lord. Prabhupada used the word legitimately absorbed, truthfully absorbed, not just making a show of absorption, because I can make a show of absorption. Externally, I can make a show. Internally, I can be meditating on sense gratification. And yes, everyone has the right and everyone has the opportunity to do that. Make a show, but you will get the result of that. So therefore, to be genuine in one's devotion and to genuinely exhibit or genuinely be absorbed in devotional service, this is sincerity. This is what Krishna sees. Not our pretense. We're not here to get popular vote, get likes, get validation, get followers, get fame. No, we are simply here to please the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And Krishna is not fooled by all the externals. You may fool the people around you, but you cannot fool Krishna. He's super soul in the heart. He knows everything. So if you're trying to fool him, you're the bigger fool. You're the bigger fool. Krishna is seeing everything, he's hearing everything, he knows everything. So therefore, Krishna will not respond to those who pretend. But Krishna definitely will note those who are legitimately absorbed, those who are sincerely and seriously absorbed, truthfully absorbed in devotional service. This stage of life is called Achyuta Bhava Siddhi, Achyuta Bhava Siddha, or perfection by dint of devotional service. So here we see again Achyuta, infallible, Bhava, devotion, mood, sentiment, perfection. It's the perfection of the heart. The heart needs to melt. The heart needs to soften. The heart needs to be purified. The heart needs to fall in love with Krishna. Without the heart melting in love for Krishna, moving in relation to Krishna, that is not perfection. And that comes through engaging in regulative devotional practice. Anyone, therefore, who is absorbed in the devotional service of the Lord is a liberated soul and has all admirable qualities. The learned sage Maitreya was sitting in a solitary place on the bank of the Ganges at Haridwar, and Vidura, who was a perfect devotee of the Lord and possessed all good transcendental qualities, approached him for inquiry. 2. Vidura Vacha Sukhaya Karmani Karoti Loko Nate Sukham Vanyad Upa Ramamba Vindeta Puyastata Eva Dukkam Yad Atra Yuktam Bhagavan Vadena. Vidura said, O great sage, everyone in this world engages in fruitive activities to attain happiness, but one finds neither satiation nor mitigation of distress. On the contrary, one is only aggravated by such activities. Please therefore give us direction on how one should live for real happiness. Now here we see a contrast or a contradiction. Who can identify the contradiction between this verse, where we're hearing about Vidura and his qualities, and he's meeting Maitreya Muni, and then his first inquiry? There seemed to be a misalignment. Anyone can detect misalignment that seems to be here and why it's here. And Prabhupada in the purport also says Vidura is a pure devotee of the Lord. So Vidura, his first inquiry is in the category of signs of self-realization. When new people come, we present the first course called the Science of Self-Realization. And one of the topics in Science of Self-Realization is how to be happy, how to get real happiness. And here we see, this is the Bhagavatam. This is supposed to be a postgraduate study. And the first inquiry that Vidura is making is about how can people become happy in this world? That's his inquiry. So it seems a little contradictory. He's a pure devotee. He's supposed to be asking Krishna Lila. But here he's asking about those who are seeking happiness. Everyone is want to be happy, but they're trying to seek for happiness, but they're getting distress. The Prabhupada explains in the purport. Vidura asked Maitreya some common questions. So it wasn't specifically for him, it was for common man, which was not ordinarily his intention. Uddhava asked Vidura to approach Maitreya Muni and inquire into all the truths concerning the Lord, his name, his fame, qualities, forms, pastimes, entourage, etc. And thus, when Vidura approached Maitreya, he should have asked only about the Lord. But out of his natural humility, he did not immediately ask about the Lord, but inquired into a subject which would be of great importance to common men. A common man cannot understand the Lord. He must first know the real position of his life under the influence of the illusory energy. In illusion, one thinks that he can be happy only by fruitive activities. But what actually happens is that one becomes more and more entangled in the network of actions and reactions and does not find any solution to the problems of life. There is a nice song in this connection. Because of great desire to have all happiness in the world, I have built this house. But unfortunately, the whole scheme has turned into ashes because the house was unexpectedly set on fire. The law of nature is like that. Everyone tries to become happy by planning in the material world, but the laws of nature is so cruel that it sets fire to one's schemes. The fruitive worker is not happy in his schemes, nor is there any situation of his continuous hankering, nor is there any satiation of his continuous hankering for happiness. So, yes, a very important question, but Vidura is asking it specifically for the benefit of other people. Because without this understanding, without this ABC understanding, then we cannot go to understand further about the Supreme Lord. Text 3. Janasya Krishnad Vimukhasya Devad Adharma Shilasya Sukudishtasya Anugraha yeha charanti nunam bhutani bhavyani janardanasya. O my Lord, the great philanthropic souls travel on the earth on behalf of the Supreme Personality of Godhead to show compassion to the fallen souls who are averse to the sense of subordination to the Lord. People do not like to submit to Krishna. Why? Because, well, they like to submit to God if God is impersonal. If God is light and God is energy, then no problem. I can surrender to God. Why? Because God is light and God is energy. God is not going to speak to me. And, light and energy, I can come into the room, I can come into the house, and I can switch on my light and I can switch off my light at my own free will, according to my desire. When I want it, put it on. When I don't want it, put it off. People love God to be like this. But when you say God is a person, he has feelings, he has likes and dislikes, and you are part and parcel of God, and you meant to be subordinate to God. Now, that the envy that comes out. Why should I listen to God? Who's he? I'm God. So this is the disease. Prabhupada in the purport says, to be obedient to the wishes of the Supreme Lord is the natural position of every living entity. That means they will not be able to escape from this tendency, this natural tendency. It will plague them. It will disturb them. And because people are striving for solutions, alternative solutions outside fixing this issue. They adopting all artificial means to be happy instead of this natural position to be happy. If you look at even many of the scientific fields, it's all about how we can exploit nature, how we can control and manipulate nature. It's not about how we can be obedient to the Lord's nature. So this tendency will stop them from actually achieving happiness. But due only to past misdeeds, a living entity becomes averse to the sense of subordination to the Lord and suffers all the miseries of material existence. No one has anything to do but render devotional service to the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. No one has anything to do but render devotional service to the Supreme Lord Shri Krishna. It's the truth. We are part and parcel of Krishna. The parts need to serve Krishna. The parts need to serve the whole. Full stop. Therefore, any activity other than transcendental loving service to the Lord is more or less a rebellious action against the supreme will. If you're not engaging devotional service, it's basically revealing the rebellious tendency. And it may be coated, it may be covered, it may be presented in so many isms. It may even be presented like spiritual practices. The bottom line is, you are a rebel. Prabhupada writes, all fruitive activities, empiric philosophy, and mysticism are more or less against the sense of subordination to the Lord. And any living entity engaged in such rebellious activities is more or less condemned by the laws of nature, which work under the subordination of the Lord. So there is no sugarcoating. Prabhupada is revealing the truth. The Bhagavatam is revealing the truth. And many people don't like to hear the truth. Now, yes, when we understand this, it's not like from tomorrow I'm going to engage 100% in the service of the Lord. It's not possible. Why? Because Prabhupada already said, due to past misdeeds, due to our conditioning, this conditioning is built in after lifetime. It's built in. It's second nature. So it'll take some time. And because we've habituated ourselves, we now need to unteach or take on devotional habits. And that's why it's a cultivation. That's why it's a regular practice. You can't practice it once in a blue moon and expect to go back to Godhead. No. It needs to be a daily occurrence of cultivation, of practice, of diligent practice. Otherwise, it's not going to be possible. So, Prabhupada then continues, great unalloyed devotees of the Lord are compassionate towards the fallen, and therefore they travel all over the world with the mission of bringing souls back to Godhead, back home. Such pure devotees of the Lord carry the message of Godhead in order to deliver the fallen souls, and therefore the common man who is bewildered by the influence of external energy of the Lord should avail himself for their association. Because without the association of great pure souls, pure devotees especially, there is no chance of proper direction. There is no chance of inspiration. There is no chance of the purity required to embrace this process. Text 4. Tatsadu varyadisha vartmana samna samradito bhagavan yena pumsam Hridhi stito yachati bhakti putem gnanam gnanam satatva digamam puranam. Therefore, O great sage, please give me instruction on the transcendental devotional service of the Lord, so that he who is situated in the heart of everyone can be pleased to impart from within the knowledge of the absolute truth in terms of the ancient Vedic principles, delivered only to those who are purified by the process of devotional service. Now, Vidura is taking it a little higher. First step, understand you're a spiritual being, part and parcel of God. Because you are part and parcel of God, the part is meant to serve the whole. You are meant to serve the Supreme Personality of Godhead. You're meant to fulfill His desires, His wishes, and engage in devotional service. Then you start engaging in devotional service. Your heart becomes purified. Now, Prabhupada already told us what is the end. That's the beginning. The end is crying for the Supreme Personality of Godhead. What happens in between? Vidura is sharing here. Prabhupada expands in the purport. As already explained in the first canto of the Srimad Bhagavatam, the absolute truth is realized in three different phases, although they are one and the same in terms of the knower's capacity to understand. The most capable transcendentalist is the pure devotee of the Lord, who is without any tinge of fruitive actions or philosophical speculation. By devotional service only does one's heart become completely purified of all material coverings like karma, jnana, and yoga. Only in such a purified stage does the Lord, who is seated in everyone's heart with the individual soul, give instruction so that the devotee can reach the ultimate destination of going back home, back to Godhead. Only in such purified stage. So in the beginning, you're not going to get instructions from inside. In the beginning, Krishna is going to speak, you can't hear him because of the impurities, the noise that's in your heart, the material desires and the narratives, obstacles that are in the heart. So therefore, you have to constantly engage in devotional service and practice to purify your heart. When your heart is purified, then Krishna can reveal, Krishna can speak. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita 10:10. Tesam satatam yuktanam vajatam. Only when the Lord is satisfied with devotional service of the devotee does he impart knowledge, as he did for Arjuna and Uddhava. The Gyanis, yogis, karmis cannot expect this direct cooperation of the Lord. They are not able to satisfy the Lord by transcendent loving service, nor do they believe in such service to the Lord. The bhakti process, as performed under the regulated principles of Vaidhi Bhakti or devotional service, following the prescribed rules and regulations, is defined by the revealed scriptures and confirmed by the great acharyas. This practice can help the neophyte devotee to rise to the stage of Rag Bhakti, in which the Lord responds from within as the Chaitya Guru, or the spiritual master as superconsciousness. So we engage in devotional service, we engage in Vaidhi Bhakti, we engage in regulated principles of devotional service. As we do that, our heart becomes purified, and as our heart becomes more and more purified and it becomes softened in love with Krishna, then Krishna can speak to us. Then Krishna will direct us from within. Until then, Krishna is speaking and you hear nothing. Or at least, not that you hear nothing, but you don't hear Krishna. Why? Because there's so much noise coming from inside as well. Your material desires, your mind, your chattering, it's all going on there. There's so much noise. And Krishna is behind, he's like in the background, can't hear. So, therefore, we need to purify our heart so that when the heart is in love with Krishna, we only want to hear Krishna. We only want to see Krishna. We only want to be with Krishna. Then everything else goes in the background. Then everything else is subdued. Just like when somebody is absorbed in a certain activity they love, then everything else becomes irrelevant because of their absorption. So our absorption needs to be in Krishna. People also in the beginning want God to speak to them. Why I'm not getting any dictation from the heart, why I don't feel, Krishna is not speaking. If Krishna is there, super, so why is not speaking to me? What's wrong with me? The problem is there is too much chatter going on. And therefore, the first step of yoga, of the yoga process, Patanjali's yoga process is chitta, reducing the chitta, reducing the chatter of the mind. That's why people they engage in silent meditation. It's good for them. They need to calm down. They need to bring the chatter down. In devotional service, we simply engage in devotional service, hearing, chanting, glorifying the Supreme Lord, engage in devotional service. This automatically brings the chatter, purifies the heart, and cultivates devotion to the Supreme Lord. If you bring all the chatter down, you won't know what to replace it with because there's no positive activity. See, negation and reduction of noise is not perfection. Prabhupada would say, just to know you not this body is not good enough. You have to engage in positive activity. You have to engage in the activity of the soul. So people who are reduced, engage in different forms of meditation that goes on by different names. They mindfulness, that was the word that I wanted. It's a big thing. Mindfulness meditation. You become mindful of your breathing in and out. You're mindful of the environment. Settle it down. Yes, just watch your thoughts. Good, but not good enough. Because it's doing the one part, but what about the positive part? When everything is silent, then what? See, and if they don't have a guru to take them further, they're going to get stuck. And guess what happens? In most cases, they become derailed. Oh, I'm that silence. Or I'm one with the silence. Or I'm everything. They get caught up. You started off on the right path, but then you basically got caught up. You got deviated, derailed, just like Prabhupada describes. Even the yogi, he's on the right path, the path of yoga. And then he starts practicing, and he becomes, so advanced that he sees the super soul face to face. Very advanced. But if he doesn't have a pure devotee to take him to the next step, what happens? Oh, that's me. And he got caught. He's seeing God, but because he doesn't have somebody to guide him, because super soul is not going to speak to him. He's seeing as the soul, he gets realization of his identity internally. And then he sees the super soul in the heart. And the super soul does not speak because the super soul's business is witness and sanction, no speaking, not interacting. Interaction only comes when there's loving, reciprocation. So the yogi is inquiring, who are you? Who are you? And if he doesn't have a pure devotee to take him further, he falls with the traps. Or, like many yogis, they get mystic powers, and before they even see God, super soul, they get derailed with mystic powers. Prabhupada then continues. All transcendentalists, other than devotees, make no distinction between the individual soul and the super soul because they miscalculate the super consciousness and the individual consciousness to be one and the same. And Prabhupada and the Bhagavatam and the Bhagavad Gita and the Bhakti Shastris are warning us of this mistake that so many are making. The individual consciousness and the super consciousness are distinctly individuals. One is dependent and the other one is independent. One is the maintainer and the other one is maintained. One is conscious and the other one is fully conscious. One is fallible and the other one is infallible. One is the servitor and the other is served. So Krishna is the superconsciousness, completely, totally different from the individual consciousness, you and me. Such miscalculation by the non-devotees make them unfit to receive any direction from within, and therefore they are bereft of the direct cooperation of the Lord. After many, many births, when such non-dualists come to the sense that the Lord is worshipable and that the devotee is simultaneously one with and different from the Lord, then only can he surrender unto the Lord Vasudeva. Pure devotional service begins from that point. The process of understanding the absolute truth adopted by the misguided non-dualist is very difficult. Whereas devotees' way of understanding the absolute truth comes directly from the Lord, who is pleased by devotional service. On behalf of many neophyte devotees, Vidura, at the very first instance, inquired from Maitreya about the path of devotional service by which the Lord, who is seated within the heart, can be pleased. So the process of devotional service is not a concoction. It's not something you like, something, somebody's liked. They thought of some idea and this is maybe good, something good we should do. We should introduce it and then they propagate it. No. It's not something that's concocted. It is a process that is coming down in disciplic succession by the Lord, because that's what pleases him. 5. Karoti karmani kri tavataro yan yatma tantro bhagavams trayadisham yatha sa sarga grad idam niriha samstapya vritim jagato vidatte. O great sage, kindly narrate how the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who is the independent, desireless Lord of the three worlds and the control of all energies, accepts incarnations and creates the cosmic manifestation with perfect arrangement, regulative, with perfectly arranged regulative principles for its maintenance. Now, Vidura is also inquiring about the creation, how the Lord is creating, how the Lord is maintaining this creation. Purport. Lord Krishna is the original personality of Godhead from whom the three creative incarnations, namely the Purusha avatars, Karandakasai Vishnu, Garbhadaksai Vishnu, and Shiradakasai Vishnu, expand. The whole material creation is conducted by the three Purushas in successive stages under the external energy of the Lord, and thus material nature is controlled by him. Thinking material nature to be independent is like seeking milk from the nipple-like bags on the neck of a goat. The Lord is independent and desireless. He does not create the material nature from his own. He does not create the material world for his own satisfaction, as we create our household affairs to fulfill our material desires. Actually, the material world is created for the illusory enjoyment of the conditioned souls who have been against the transcendental service of the Lord since time immemorial. So when people ask, why is the material world created? Why did God create this material world? Not for him, it's for you. Why? Because you want to enjoy separately from God. Illusory enjoyment. And because you want to separately enjoy, Krishna is giving you this separate creation, to enjoy. Just like that example Prabhupada gives, or the example is given, the mother has two daughters, and the two daughters, one daughter comes and says, "Mommy, mommy, I like to cook like you." And the mother gives uh, some pots and pans, some roti dough, and says, go there in a corner and cook. And another daughter comes and says, "Mommy, mommy, I like to cook with you." So then she brings the daughter together, and together they're cooking. So one likes to cook like the mother, and the other likes to cook with the mother. So if you want to cook like God, you come here to the material world. You want to cook with God, you go back to this, you in the spiritual world. You want to enjoy like God, you come here. You want to enjoy with God, you're in the spiritual world. But the material universe is full in themselves. There is no scarcity for maintenance in the material world. Because of the poor fundamental knowledge, the materialists are disturbed when there is an apparent increase of population on the earth. So Krishna has created this material creation for our separate enjoyment, so that we can suffer and realize our mistake. But this creation is self-sustaining. This creation has everything for it to survive eternally. Yes, it goes through the cycle of creation and destruction, which is part of this material world. But there is no shortage of resources in Krishna's creation. Whenever there is a living being on earth, whenever there is a living being on the earth, however, his subsistence is immediately arranged by the Lord. The other species of living entities who are far outnumber human society are never disturbed for maintenance. They're never seen dying of starvation. It is only human society that is disturbed about food situation, and to cover up the real fact of administrative mismanagement, take shelter in the plea that the population is excessively increasing. If there is any scarcity in the world, it is the scarcity of God consciousness. Otherwise, by the grace of God, there is no scarcity of anything. So yes, people, due to power struggle, power control, greed, exploitation, they create an imbalance. But actually, there is enough to maintain an infinite number of living entities in Krishna's creation. The scarcity is basically created by human beings. And Prabhupada, Srila Bhakti Maharaj told Srila Prabhupada, the only scarcity is God consciousness. That's the only urgency, that's the only need. Otherwise, there's everything in this creation. 6. Yatapuna Sekha idam niveshya sete guhayam sanivrita vriti yogeshwara tishwara eka etad anupravishto bahuda yathasit. He lies down on his own heart spread in the form of the sky, and thus placing the whole creation in that space, he expands himself into many living entities which are manifested as different species of life. He does not have to endeavor for his maintenance, because he is the master of all mystic powers and the proprietor of everything. Thus, he is distinct from the living entities. Purport. The questions regarding creation, maintenance, destruction, which are mentioned in many parts of the Srimad Bhagavatam, are in relation to different millenniums, kalpas, and therefore they are differently described by different authorities when questioned by different students. There is no difference regarding the creative principles and the Lord's control over them, yet there are some differences in the minute details because of different kalpas. So this is a principle. Whenever we hear specific pastimes or creation, there may be variations. just like Lord Ram's appearance in this world. Sometimes he's described, he's green, sometimes he's red, sometimes he's blue, he's different colors. So someone is, but okay, why is Lord, I think only Lord Ram is green. No, he can be any color. Krishna likes variety. So he may have variations and variations of the details in different kalpas, in different millenniums. For example, Lord Ram will always kill Ravana, but how he kills Ravana may vary. Hanuman will always go and rescue Sita, or at least deliver the message of find Sita. But how he does that may be different, may vary because of different kalpas. Krishna also, when he performs pastimes in Vrindavan, they may be different details. And sometimes different details of different yugas are given in the same scripture. They're not contradicting, they just emphasizing this point, Kalpabeda. The gigantic sky in the material body of the Lord, called the Virat Rupa, and all material creations are resting on the sky or the heart of the Lord. Therefore, beginning from the sky, the first material manifestation to the gross vision down to the earth, everything is called Brahman. Sarvam Kalav Idam Brahma. There is nothing but the Lord, and he is one without a second. So people take the statement. See, I told you, we are all God. Why? Because Sarvam Kalav Idam Brahma. Everything is God. So if everything is God and I'm also here, what does it mean? I'm also God. Everything is God. This is how they conclude. The living entities are superior energies, whereas matter is the inferior energy. And the combination of these energies bring about the manifestation of the material world, which is in the heart of the Lord. 7. Kridan vitate dvija go suranam shemaya karmanya avata rabeda manona tripyatyapi shrinvatamna Shushloka moles charitamritani. You may narrate also about the auspicious activities of the Lord in his different incarnations for the welfare of the twice born, the cows and the demigods. Our minds are never satisfied completely, although we continuously hear of his transcendental activities. Purport. The Lord appears in this universe in different incarnations like Matsya, Kurma, Vara, and Nishinga. And he manifests in different transcendental activities for the welfare of the twice born, the cows and the demigods. The Lord is directly concerned with the twice born or civilized man. A civilized man is one who has taken his birth twice. A living entity takes birth in this mundane world due to the union of male and female. A human being is born due to the union of the father and the mother. But a civilized human being has another birth by contact with a spiritual master, who becomes the actual father. The father and mother of the material body are so only in one birth, and in the next birth, the father and mother may be a different couple. But the bona fide spiritual master, as a representative of the Lord, is eternal father, because the spiritual father has the responsibility to lead the disciple to spiritual salvation, or the ultimate goal of life. Therefore, a civilized man must be twice born, otherwise he is no more than the lower animals. So this is civilization. This is spiritual civilization. That the focus is to connect ourselves back to the spiritual world. The cow is the most important animal for developing the human body to perfection. The body can be maintained by any kind of foodstuff, but cow's milk is particularly essential for developing the finer tissues of human brain, so that one can understand the intricacies of transcendental knowledge. A civilized man is expected to live on foodstuffs comprising fruits, vegetables, grains, sugar, and milk. The bull helps in the agricultural process of producing grains, etc. And thus, in one sense, the bull is the father of humankind, whereas the cow is the mother, for she supplies milk to human society. A civilized man is therefore expected to give all production to the bulls and cows. Demigods, living entities who live in the high planets, are far superior to human beings. Since they have better arrangements for living conditions, they live far more luxurious than human beings, yet they are all devotees of the Lord. The Lord incarnates in different forms, such as a fish or a tortoise or hog, and a combined lion and man, just to give protection to civilized men, the cows, and the demigods, who are directly responsible for the regular life of progressive self-realization. So civilized men or the brahmanas, twice born, the cows, the demigods, they're all meant to help the progressive practice of self-realization for humanity. And therefore, to protect them, the Lord appears in this world. The whole system of material creation is planned so that the conditioned souls may have the opportunity for self-realization. One who takes advantage of such an arrangement is called the demigod or civilized man. A cow is meant to help maintain such a high standard of living. The Lord's pastimes for the protection of the twice born civilized men, the cows and the demigods are all transcendental. A human being is inclined to hear good narrations and stories, and therefore there are so many books, magazines, and newspapers on the market to satisfy the interests of the developed soul. But the pleasure in such literature after it is read once becomes stale, and people do not take any interest in reading such literature repeatedly. In fact, newspapers are read for less than an hour and then thrown in the dustbin as rubbish. The case is similar with all other mundane literatures. But the beauty of the transcendent literatures like Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam is that they have never become old. They have been read in the world by civilized men for the last 5,000 years, and they have never become old. This is the glorious position of the Bhagavatam. Glorious position of the glories of the Lord. Transcendental subject matter never becomes hackneyed, never becomes old. They are ever fresh to the learned scholars and devotees. And even by daily repetition of the verses of the Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, there is no satiation for devotees like Vidura. Vidura might have heard the pastimes of the Lord many, many times before he met Maitreya, but still he wanted the same narration to be repeated because he was never satiated by hearing them. That is the transcendental nature of the Lord's glorious pastimes. 8. Yes tattva veder adilokanato lokan saha lokapalan achiklap achikpad yatra hi sarvasat sattva nikaya vedo drikrita pratita. The supreme king of all kings has created different planets and places of habitation where living entities are situated in terms of the modes of nature and work, and he has created their different kings and rulers. Purport. Lord Krishna is the chief king of all kings, and he has created different planets for all kinds of living entities. Even on this planet, there are different places of inhabitation by different types of men. There are places like deserts, islands, valleys in the mountainous countries, and in each of them there are different kinds of men born of different modes of nature according to their past deeds. There are people in Arabian deserts and in the valleys of the Himalayan mountains, and the inhabitants of these two places differ from one another, just as inhabitants of the islands also differ from them. Similarly, there are also different planets. The planets below the earth, down to Patala planets, are full of various kinds of living beings. No planet is vacant, as wrongly imagined by the modern so-called scientists. In Bhagavad Gita, we find it is said that by the Lord that the living entities are sarvagata, or present everywhere, present in every sphere of life. So there is no doubt that no other planet, that there is no doubt that on other planets there are also inhabitants like us, sometimes with great intelligence and greater opulence. The living conditions for those of great intelligence are more luxurious than on the Earth. There are also planets where no sunlight reaches, and there are living entities who must live there due to their past deeds. All such plans for living conditions are made by the Supreme Lord, and Vidura requests Maitreya to describe this for the sake of further enlightenment. So the living end is all pervading everywhere. If you look out in the vast universe, there are living entities everywhere. Yet those who are not educated, they think only Earth planet is populated. So when they see another asteroid that's coming close to the planet, they think, oh, that's aliens, or maybe other people. Some people think, well, there is no aliens. The Vedas, already talked about demigods that would appear in Satya Yuga and Tetra Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, when they would do the sacrifices. The demigods would appear to personally come and take the sacrifices. So the Vedas already talked about other living entities in different planets. So scientists, today's materialistic scientists and educators, they obviously don't have this information, and therefore they begin to debate and obviously not understand these subject matters. 9. Yena prajanam uta atma karma rupabidanam cha vidam vyatatam narayano vishvashkrik atmayonir etacha no varnaya vipravarya. O chief amongst the Brahmanas, please also describe how Narayan, the creator of the universe and the self-sufficient Lord, has differently created the natures, activities, forms, features, and names of different living creatures. So Vidura wants to know all these different subject matters, all about the spiritual world, about Krishna's pastimes, his appearance in this world, how he creates, maintains, destroys, how all the different living entities are there, how they get different forms, different features, different names. This is all what he wants to hear about. Purport. Every living being is under the plan of his natural inclinations in terms of the modes of material nature. His work is manifested in terms of the nature of the three modes. His form, his bodily features are designed according to his work, and his name is designated according to his bodily features. For example, the higher class of men are white, Sukla, and the lower class of men are black. This division of white and black is in terms of one's black and white duties of life. Pious acts lead one to take birth in good, highly placed families, to become rich, to become learned, to acquire beautiful bodily features. Impious acts leads one to become poor by parentage, to be always in want, to become a fool or illiterate, and to acquire ugly bodily features. Vidura requests Maitreya to explain these differences between all the living creatures made by Narayan, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So Vidura wanted to know about the different variations. Why do different variations of living beings come? Why are some rich, some poor? Prabhupada is expanding in the purport that due to our past activities, we acquire certain modes, and according to those modes, we get specific results. So the color of our body, the place of birth, the features that we have, our education, the wealth, the beauty, all this is according to our past activities and association with the modes. And generally, you find according to the bodily connection, you get those who are interested in self-realization, those who are pious, those who are materially opulent, those who now are not materially opulent, those who don't have piety, those who live a sinful life, those who deprived of opulence, all according to one's association with the modes. So here Prabhupada is talking about black and white in terms of modes, like the mode of goodness and the mode of passion. In the material world, in Kali Yuga, there's a permutation, is obviously mixed. It's not like every white person is a high class person and every black person is a low class person. According to the modes, one will be influenced accordingly. But generally, this is the situation. Now, we find Srila Prabhupada took a spiritual culture across the globe and brought all these people, whether they're black, white, poor, rich, beautiful, ugly, intelligent, not intelligent, took all of these people from all these different walks of life and brought them into the fold of devotional service. Why? Because these are all temporary designations related to your body, which is changing and transient, and will change in the future. But as spiritual beings, we're not black, white, intelligent, pious, impious, ugly, beautiful. As spiritual beings, we are all spiritual nature. We are all beautiful in nature. We are all lovers of Krishna. And therefore, the practice of devotional service transcends all these inferior, lower barriers. What scripture calls skin disease, which creates more and more conflicts. So yes, we do want to know, how do different individuals, how are they born in different circumstance situations? And naturally, how can they transcend those situations? And this will all be explained in the third canto as we proceed chapter by chapter. Vantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Goparamanande, Hari Hari. Are there any questions or comments anyone has? Please type in the chat if anyone has any questions. So tomorrow is last 5 days of Kartik that is starting. Or is it today? Wednesday, Thursday, yeah. From today's Bhishma Panchak, 5 days, last 5 days of Kartik. So tomorrow is a Ekadasi, half-day fast. Work Ishwara's Babji Maharaj, so we can fast and remember his glories. All right, thank you very much. Very enjoying the message between fruit of actions and surrendering. Good. I take it that that's a comment. Good. Madhula Hari Krishna, thank you for the beautiful Krishna that I missed this class. Saturday seems strangely empty without it. So when we don't have class, you have to go on YouTube and listen to other classes. Keep the connection. Keep it alive. Because yes, if there's festivals, we must observe the festivities because that's important. It's one of the regular principles to observe the festivities, festival days of the Lord. So if there's festivities, then yeah, Ratiyatra, different festivities. So then we have to make alternative arrangements. But yes, to become attached to the class and know that something's missing is a good sign. It's like when somebody's attached to the disco and they don't go to the disco, they feel something's missing. So for us also, yes, if we don't uh, hear about the Bhagavatam every Saturday, something's missing. That's a good sign, healthy sign. All right, thank you very much. We will meet again next week and continue with the discussion between Vidura and Maitreya Rishi. Vantarajam Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Nitai Go Brahmanande, Hari Hari Bo.